Hi, everybody. I'm Pratibha Agarwal. I am an immigration lawyer. I'm in DC, but my clients are all throughout the United States. I should correct that. I am near DC, near in Arlington, Virginia. It is very close to DC. You can even see it from our window. But if you're in the DC area, you can come and visit us for an in-person consultation, or if you would like, we can do consultations for you no matter where you are located, whether it is somewhere else in the US or internationally. We are doing our consultations by Zoom or by phone, so we can definitely schedule something with you. Our consultations are about 30 minutes long, and we answer all of your immigration questions. We get in depth into your case, your entry, exit, history, and your immigration goals and how best to achieve them, whether it's a work permit, whether it's a green card, or sponsorship, sponsoring someone else. We're able to help you. And many of our clients just call to see what options they might have available to them. Okay, so give us a call. And we will schedule a consultation. It will be with me. It's one-on-one time for you to be able to kind of get deep into your case. But I'm here today to answer kind of some general things. I actually only have a few minutes today, and I will take your questions. But I wanted to talk about a couple of things, but feel free to put your questions in, and I'll answer as many as I can before I have to head off for the weekend. Happy Friday, guys. Happy Friday to everyone. I hope you had a good week. We had some great results in our cases this week. We're super excited. We got many cases filed and many new clients signing on with us. So looking forward to working with our new clients on that. And also congratulations to our clients that have recently received approvals for work authorizations, for green cards, and for temporary visas as well. Okay, great. So I wanted to start off today talking about abuse that might help you qualify for a VAWA self-petition. As a review, a VAWA is when someone is married to either a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, and they are victims of abusive behavior. So the abusive behavior is not always physical. Most of the time in our cases, it's not physical abuse. It's more emotional, okay? It's more emotional. So sorry, some of these questions are a little interesting. Okay. So some of this, the abuse is more emotional in nature, or non-physical abuse, I'd like to say. Okay, and some folks call us and they're not sure if they qualify, and I thought it would be helpful to give you some examples of what might qualify as these different types of abuse that can be used sometimes in a VAWA application. All right. So I would, if you are interested in that, if you are married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder who is not helping you sponsor your green card, or you're afraid because of the problems in your marriage that you wouldn't be able to get a green card, or you're staying in your marriage only to get a green card because otherwise it is torture, right? So otherwise it feels like torture. So many of our clients come to us and we are able to give them this option based on the relationship that they have with their spouse. So most of our cases are spousal, but again, VAWA is not just for spouses. It can be for parents of children that are abusive. It could be for children who have abusive parents as well. So we have cases in all of those scenarios. Okay, so let's talk today about the type of abuse that might qualify for VAWA that's not physical. These are the questions that come up most often. What might be the types of abuse? What is not physical abuse? Sometimes we just get used to these kinds of things and we don't realize that it's abuse. Okay, so thanks for putting your questions in, and I'm happy to answer them in just a second. And thank you for joining me. Happy Friday again to folks that are just joining me right now. So again, we're going back to our question, which is what are the non-physical types of abuse that might help a person qualify for a VAWA application? So there are several types, but the main ones I'm going to talk about right now are emotional abuse, psychological abuse, verbal abuse, and financial abuse. Okay, and these are all non-physical types of abuse that can be looked at and considered in winning a VAWA case, and winning a VAWA case and getting a green card based on a VAWA application. All right, So emotional abuse can take many different forms, right? So it can take many different forms, but the idea of it is that your spouse is doing and saying hurtful things to you, to put you down and keep you down. And part of it could be because you don't have a green card and you don't have any other choice but to be there, or you feel like you have no other choice. So for example, some of it can be very controlling behavior. So things like your spouse is always checking your email or demanding your passwords for your social media accounts, your email accounts, checking the texts on your phone, and getting upset with you if you're talking to people of the opposite sex. Or if you're talking to people that are not your spouse, kind of controlling and limiting your social interactions with other people, limiting your friendships, that could be considered emotional abuse, right? The other thing is maybe they're blaming you for things. Maybe they're blaming you for their own challenges, their own difficulties. Sometimes we see cases where the spouse is even blaming the person who is undocumented in the marriage, for not being able to work, for their own problems, for even the abuse that the abuser is inflicting on them. There sometimes are threats of deportation, not always, but all of these types of behavior can be considered emotional abuse. Okay. Then there is psychological abuse. That can also be considered as a factor in whether someone qualifies for a VAWA. Again, a VAWA is a green card application for people that are married to U.S. citizens or green card holders that are victims of abuse, right? So psychological abuse can be things like, is this person making you think that you're crazy? They're telling you that things didn't happen the way you remembered them. They're telling you that your perceptions are wrong, that you aren't able to perceive what's happening accurately, and they're trying to fill in for you what you know is not true. Okay. Verbal abuse could be things like they're calling you names. Many of our clients, I see this a lot, get called lazy because they aren't allowed to rest, right? So if they are resting and not doing something that the spouse expects them to do, they're getting called lazy, and getting kind of insulting language used about their culture, sometimes about where they come from, about the food that they eat, about things that they like to do or enjoy. So that could be verbal abuse, just derogatory words used against that spouse. And then this we see in almost every case. It's not a requirement. Of course, it might not be in your case. It doesn't mean you won't win your VAWA case. But what we see is financial abuse. So financial abuse is very, very controlling behavior with finances, with your spending. You're not allowed to spend. If you're working, you turn over all your money to your spouse, and your spouse is the one that controls how much is spent and makes decisions on spending without talking with you about it, right? So there's a lot of that kind of abusive behavior as well. All right, so all of these types of abuses we talked about, emotional, psychological, verbal, and financial, they can all help you qualify for a VAWA case. And again, sometimes we do it without any physical abuse. So there's no police report required. There's no requirement of physical abuse, but you can have these other types in your marriage. If you're married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, you might still be eligible to apply for this green card, which you would receive in about 2 to 2.5 years, and a work permit in about 6 to 8 months. Okay, call us if we can help you. My name again is Pratibha Agarwal. I'm an immigration attorney, and my clients are all throughout the United States. All right, great. So I can probably only take, I see a number of questions here, and I think you guys are awesome for joining me here. But I'm not sure I will get to all of them. Okay. Yokri is saying, do you say Black Lives Matter? Yes, I do say Black Lives Matter, and I do believe that Black Lives matter. Harsh is saying, what's the best credential for an EB1? Give an example of someone who filed with your help and get it. Well, for an EB1, you want to be considered someone of extraordinary ability in your particular field. I think one of the strongest applications that we've done for EB1 is for someone who was pretty incredible, actually. He was pretty incredible. He was able to go into different companies and analyze their operations and come up with technologies to make their operations better and smoother. And so he did this, and he can show by the revenue. He took a $1 million company into the billions. And he's doing it for companies in different industries. And so he only had a bachelor's degree, actually, and he was able to really really demonstrate how incredible his abilities are, and he's able to qualify for that extraordinary ability category. Okay. Harsh says, can you address my question? I think I just addressed your question, Harsh. Okay. I'm not sure what this question is about an H-1B. Sorry about that. I wish I could help. Call us for a consultation if we can help you talk about your H-1B case. We're at 703-348-1663. Okay, someone is asking, I don't want my work visa to be stamped in my country of origin. Will it get denied if in Mexico? Well, that's a good question. I sometimes will advise, if any clients ask me, I say, go back to your country of origin to get stamped, because Canada or Mexico have the right to deny stamping for you. They only have to do it if it is, if you're tied, if you have some kind of strong ties to that country. But unfortunately, with COVID, there's limited staffing. It's getting a little bit better, especially now that they've improved the travel restrictions, or lessened, I guess, the travel restrictions. But I would recommend you go back to your home country just to avoid any issues in being turned away, because you might be turned away anyway. All right. Thanks for all your questions, everyone. Have a great weekend. And I will talk to you soon. All right. Thanks so much. Bye, everyone.